You are now listening to the Bullseye Podcast, brought to you by AFI Advisors. Sit back, get comfy, and keep all arms and legs inside the vehicle when in motion. And now, here is Josh, Peter, and Brian.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Bullseye Podcast, brought to you by AFI Advisors. I am Josh Shores, Director of Marketing and Development here at AFI. I have some very special guests with me today. Mr. Darrell, Miss Sharon Duncan. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you so much for letting us be here today.
We've been trying to get you all to come hang out with us for a while now.
We have, haven't we?
Our schedules just couldn't match up. We've been pretty busy, and I know you have been too, Josh, so thank you.
You all do stay busy. I get to see Darrell every once in a while. We pop up at a lot of the same things.
We sure do.
Sharon, I'm seeing you more and more. You're out and about, but you all are very busy. I don't know if people know this. Darrell, you are the vice mayor of the city of Kingsport.
I am. I've been on the board now for on my 9th year, and now vice mayor.
Yeah. Congratulations,
thank
by
you.
the way. Miss Sharon, realtor extraordinaire with Town and Country.
Yes.
And you are the chairman of
The Planning Commission for the City of Kingsport.
I was just gonna let her do it. I can't remember all these big titles, and I always get them wrong. So what does that entail?
So we get things from the city and from builders, and it goes to the Planning Commission for their approval and to go through, and then it comes to the commission for our vote. Does it actually fit into the processes that we need them to fit in? And then from there it goes into the Board of Mayor and Aldermen for a vote.
And from a board mayor and alderman standpoint, we really rely on the planning commission because it's filtered out before we get a lot of times, and they can make their own decisions on a lot of things too. So it's a big help to the board.
Do you guys ever take your decisions home and beat your heads over it?
Not mostly beat our heads over it, but I will say sometimes we'll say, "This is coming. Be ready," you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, we do that quite a bit. She's got a meeting this afternoon, actually, and so she's got a packet that goes through, and then she'll have her meeting, and then a lot of times it'll come onto the board.
Well, thanks again, both of you all, for being here. I think we've got some really interesting stuff that I wanted to talk about, some great things that you all are involved in. But I'd like to get a little glimpse of who you guys are. So you said, Sharon, and since she opened the door, it's fair game.
Absolutely.
About this really neat story about how you guys met. So I will give you the floor.
Okay, so this neat story begins that we were neighbors. So how we met is a little different from most people's. So we were neighbors and we grew up just 3 houses apart, and just kind of developed into friendship is really what it was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, just friendship. And then from
so
there.
how old were you?
Our whole lives we lived there.
Oh, wow.
Both of us, our whole lives, we were neighbors.
Right.
But
Wow.
we didn't really have we just didn't have a lot to do with each other early, I guess, in life. But as we got a little bit older and, kind of got out of school and started, just kind of hanging out a little bit more. So, what are you doing tonight? What are you not doing tonight? I'll let Sharon kind of take that part over. And
Yeah. So it was more like just a friendship and just, oh, what are you doing? Let's go to the movies. Or what are you doing? Let's do this. And then gradually things just kind of started to develop. So we just started a relationship, and that's how we met. And now
I think
we built.
That kind of sounds like the all-American story.
Yeah.
How people meet.
yeah, we've been blessed. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really
and we
neat.
both had great families and a lot of similar backgrounds, as far as our families and how deep that our relationship was with our parents. And also I had siblings. Darrell was an only child, but just, that, developed into us and how we are today, I think.
Yeah.
Is how we were raised.
Darrell, I didn't know you were an only child.
Well, when you hit perfection.
I was going to say that explains a lot.
It does.
That's really neat.
No.
I've not heard the perfection one. That's really neat.
Well, kind of caught me off guard on that one, Josh.
So we've got this story. You guys are together, and tell us a little bit about your family now.
Yeah. Well, our family now has obviously changed because of our daughter's passing, but we stay really busy, and I had worked for Eastman Chemical for a number of years, and then I changed jobs in 2016 and went with a European chemical company. And I retired June 1st for that, but I've been a licensed realtor as well. And so kind of following Sharon's footsteps. And so we've really enjoyed doing real estate together. At least I have. And so
dynamic duo.
We we live downtown, and we just really are embedded into Kingsport. So that's kind of our daily family routine. And so we've got a lot of friends here in Kingsport. It would be hard for us to probably ever leave Kingsport, to be honest. It's just a great place to live.
So of course we had a daughter that Darrell just mentioned, Caitlyn, and we had a daughter, and she passed away in 2006, and she was 17, and it was from complications from surgery, and it ended up being a misdiagnosis. So it was very, very hard for us. We were in Cincinnati, Ohio. The whole time she had surgery there, and was in the hospital for 5 weeks before her passing. And so it just changed our lives. It just was devastating, and our whole life family dynamic changed.
Well, it did. I mean, you find yourself as empty nesters, overnight, in that situation. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a lot to process. All at once. There's a lot of moving parts to that.
And your whole life is embedded in your children. Everybody's is, whether it's dance, band, whatever they do, that's what your friends are and what you're doing and those type things. So when that happened, we hit a realization of what is our life going to look like now? I think at that time when we were trying to realize what are our lives going to be like, that we realized then that we had been so blessed with, after her passing, with community and so many people that just reached out to us, people we didn't even know, knock on our door and want to help.
Yeah.
And I think after her passing, we realized that we wanted to give so much back to the community that had been so good to us. So that's really the time that we decided to be more active in our community and volunteer more.
Yeah.
And that's when we really realized to start giving back.
Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Even though we had been raised that way and had done those things, but it was a whole nother level.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But, Caitlyn was a normal 16-year-old, vivacious young lady, and, she loved her cell phone and car, and, she loved band. She loved her dance. She had a lot of different friends and had danced for a long time. And then she had joined, kind of the DB band family, if you will, when she was in middle school. And so she had all those friends, kind of growing up too. And so it was just, she had her mom's good looks. And so she was a blonde. And so that was, I would say, she was someone that was very, I think people remembered her. It was just, she kind of went into the room and people just kind of remembered Caitlyn. She just kind of had that personality. So
sure.
She was kind of a mix of, I think, my personality and Sharon's personality, and with Sharon's good looks. So.
She did. She had that little way about her that when she entered a room, everybody knew she was there.
Yeah.
And it was just an attraction like that she had with people. And it didn't matter what age. It didn't matter if he was 80 or 8. She just had that, about her to be able to talk to anybody and make them feel comfortable. And she just was vivacious, and she just had this laugh and giggle that was, just amazing. But she had the best hugs too that you could ever get.
Yeah.
What instrument did she play? Darrell, I know you told me once, but I can't remember.
She was a baritone player.
Baritone.
So she had Sharon's height, and so I always said it was like the smallest kid with the biggest instrument, because a baritone is a pretty good size, thing to carry around. But she never had any problems with it. And it really went to All-State with being a baritone player when she was in middle school. So she, she'd lug that thing around during, the band competitions and, during the high school half times and everything like that. So she was a baritone player. Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. And Sharon, how tall are you?
I'm 5 feet, but some people argue I'm 4'11".
Well, we'll say she's 4'11". She stretches a little bit, so.
I do the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I think we're having a moment here because I put 6 feet,
Oh, yeah.
but I'm 5'10".
Got it.
confession time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, Caitlyn loved dance too. She loved her dance family and dance community, and she took dance at Intercity Ballet, and she loved Nutcracker. Of course, she was in Nutcracker every year. Loved Nutcracker, loved her. She always said, my favorite week of the year is the week of Nutcracker.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, she was. And that, I mean, she really had like different families. I mean, she had like church family. Of course, she had her immediate family, but, as far as kids and friends was, she had church family, she had band friends, and then she had her dance family as well. So it was, she had a lot of different components of friends.
That's a big support system, too.
It is.
Yeah, it is. It
Absolutely.
is, for sure.
Well, so I know that given both of those things that she really enjoyed, that you guys had created some couple scholarships in her name, one through the ballet program and the other through the DB band program. So I'd be really interested to hear kind of how you got to that, which I think, obviously she loved those things, but I'm sure there's more to it than that. And also maybe some of the success that you've had from that.
Okay.
I think that'd be really interesting because, I'm always finding these, we talk a lot about getting kids to college and funding that. And we're finding all these new scholarships and these opportunities, and it's just really neat. And I want to add this to the list.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll let you go ahead and start here.
So as we were coming back from Cincinnati, we had friends that came to Cincinnati to bring us home. And on our way back, we said, we really wanted to do something in her memory, because things start developing of what are you going to do? And we were like, we want to do something to honor her memory. And we just feel like that's what we need to do and what we want to do. So on the way back, we started kind of come up with ideas, and we called Leif Cook and went over everything with him, and we decided to do a band scholarship in her memory. And so in lieu of flowers, we asked for funds to go toward that scholarship, as well as Intercity Ballet. But the band scholarship was just amazing with the band family and just people in our community that loves the band and supports the band and has been in the band. And so it was just overwhelming, the love and support that they all showed for those two scholarships.
Yeah.
And
well, I'm a band guy, so I understand it's not a cheap hobby or career or study. So any money or funds that can go toward that is a huge help. All of those things.
Well, it is, and that's a good point. So we've, like Sharon said, the scholarship was really developed between here and Cincinnati, and so in a short amount of time was when we kind of come up with this. But through that, and during just within a few days, then it was, instead of lieu of flowers, donate to the dance or the DB band. And so through that, we have been able to sustain that over these years. And we have bought numerous instruments, and the process of those, especially initially we bought the instruments. And then that was when the new band building, the DB band building, had just been opened up. And so they was looking for other opportunities too. So we bought a number of chairs for the band students. I mean, the DB band is, huge, and there was needs more of that. So we bought a number of chairs along with some instruments, baritones a lot, because of the relationship there. We bought baritones.
That's fair.
And so those are still there. And so we had our name put on it. So every now and then we'll get feedback, say, some kid will come up and say, hey, I've got a baritone through the school that, it's got Caitlyn's name on it.
It's really neat.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, it is. And we've been so fortunate to have people to continue to donate to our scholarship through the years. And of course, initially was when the largest amount of money came in. But just occasionally we'll get an email from the treasurer that'll say, oh, somebody just donated $500 to Caitlyn's scholarship.
Yeah.
And so we've been blessed just along the way to have that additionally to help support it and to keep it going, because at this point our memory is all we have. So,
and that's been, help me do the math, that's been how long now you've been?
It's been 18 years.
Right, 18, okay.
18 years.
So each spring they have like a recognition of the seniors and invite their parents and the whole band, but that's when we do our scholarships. And so sometimes we'll do 2, sometimes we'll do 3. And so there's
Or
a process.
4.
Yeah, or 4. We have done 4. And so we have it's a process through the band on how that is done. And so they fill in an application. And then, as a group, we don't know the kids. We don't know a lot of the kids anymore. We know some through their families, but not a lot like we did initially. Mm-hmm. And so we just kind of filter through those scholarships and seeing, obviously the need, and then those scholarships are awarded at their night for the band on that night. So it's
their band banquet.
Banquet.
That's
you
it.
very much.
Band banquet.
Banquet. Yes.
Duh.
And the amazing thing to us, and I think to the community too, is through this we've been able to award 44 students band scholarships in 18 years.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
It's a lot.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of varied in money a little bit over the years on what we give, but it makes a difference, especially like you said. I mean, going into college, there's a lot of expenses, and a number of these kids they go to ETSU, but some of them has gone, to Alabama and Clemson, a lot of different schools that they're attending, and not necessarily all of them will continue their band in college. I mean, so it's just to assist with some of their expenses through the scholarship.
That's great.
Yeah.
So we've just been honored and that people have thought that much of her even today. And like Darrell said, most of the students now we don't know. We may know all of their family, or we know one thing that I'll say too is Mr. Cook, of course, knew Caitlyn very, very well, and us. We're still good friends with them, very good friends. But he will bring the seniors in, and he tells them about Caitlyn. And so that starts their essays after they've had a conversation with Mr. Cook and him telling them about her and her story. And so that is how they apply.
Yeah. Well, and also that kind of builds up from when as a freshman, you still attend the band banquet, and so they'll see these scholarships, being given, and when they're freshmen and then sophomore and then juniors, and we always give them to seniors, obviously. So they kind of familiarize themselves a little bit with the process, before they get there, and it's worked out very well, and we just feel like we've been blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think anyone. I've always kind of been in the camp where I don't want kids to miss out on something because they can't financially do it. Yeah. Whether that be education or sports or hobbies, whatever. Yeah. So anything that we can do to help, kind of bridge that gap, I think only betters everyone.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
So it's really neat that you guys get the opportunity to do that, and the way you get to go about doing it too. That's really neat.
It is.
Well, and these kids just have been the one, and we try to meet each one of them afterward the banquet. Like I said, we don't particularly know many of them. We know a lot of their families, of course, just being with Kingsport in a small community, but we don't know their kids. And so typically after that, we'll kind of get to meet some of these kids a little bit, and we get. We always get thank you notes and thank yous, even years after. We get feedback from that. They've graduated through college, and even some's got kids now.
Yeah.
And so we get feedback on that and say thank you.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. And it's amazing how some of her friends, like a couple of her friends, named their children after her.
Oh, yeah.
And we just ran into a friend of hers, actually at the chamber dinner, and she said, I still have Caitlyn's picture on my refrigerator. And I think it's still a testament to her and to the friendships that she built, and just the impression she made with other friends her age as well as our community.
Yeah. Sharon's maiden name is Elliot, and so one of her friends just named their son Elliot. And so that's just been within the last probably year or so.
And that was Caitlyn's middle name.
Yeah, and that was Caitlyn's middle name as well.
That's great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's many Joshes being produced anymore. I peaked around the mid '80s. That's when my name, so it might come back around again.
Yeah, it will. I guarantee it will.
There's no more Sharons and Darrells either.
No, there's not.
No more.
But I feel like being named after someone's a big deal.
Yeah, I
It
do.
is.
It's almost kind of a lot of pressure if you think about it for everybody involved. So kind of hearing all this, if someone was wanting to get involved or maybe make a donation or I don't know how you guys go about the selection process, if there's applications. So any of that information I'd love to hear so we can share it with folks because given what we do, we have a lot of people ask about scholarships and we have a lot of band students. And so I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. So the process for the scholarship with the band is you have to be in the band. You don't have to continue or pursue band in college, but you have gone through Dobyns-Bennett band. And so in the spring is when they will announce the scholarships. And there are a couple of others that the band has as well. And so he'll announce those. And then that's their opportunity for them to fill out their applications and their essays and to turn them in. There's a deadline. And then from there, the selection committee meets and chooses those.
And two on that, I mean, it's just kind of an open thing, when they turn these in. And so we review each one of these, but we never handle any of the funds. And so the funds is for donations will go through the Dobyns-Bennett band. And then there's a separate account that's held up, for our money.
Yeah.
And so for the people that is listening or wants to donate to Caitlyn Scholarship Fund, then they can obviously contact us, and we will give them the address to do that, and then we kind of follow it to make sure it's what made it to where it needs
Makes
to go.
Makes it to its destination.
It does because their band, I mean, their budget is $400,000 a year or something like that. So we want to make sure that Caitlyn Scholarship money is held, a different place, and it has been, and then we can pull directly for that. So it doesn't go into like their general fund.
Sure.
Yeah.
Great.
And it actually goes to the Caitlyn Duncan Scholarship. So that's how checks would be written.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, and we kind of separated. I mean, that wouldn't have been right from the start. I mean, we separated ourselves early from that. I mean, we liked being on the selection part of it, but we certainly didn't want to handle any funds. That would have just not been,
Well,
right
there's
there.
a lot of reasons probably,
Yeah,
and stress that would come from that too, of having to deal with that. So
Exactly.
you probably made the wise decision on that.
Well, it's
one.
very transparent that way too.
Yeah,
and transparency is a big deal when you're dealing with people's money, obviously. So
Sure.
you get that here, right?
We are asked from time to time to talk to other parents who have lost children. And we have before. It's hard because people are at different grieving processes. So if you have lost a child, of course, always reach out to either one of us. We'll be glad to talk with you. But there's two things, and I learned one, that everybody grieves differently.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think anyone else is not grieving if they're grieving different from you. But the other thing is everyone's at a different grief process, at a different level when you go through this. And you never get over it. But the healing begins eventually, but it takes a lifetime.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, it does. I mean, I sit here and wipe tears during this, and we do that a lot. So I get time does heal to a certain extent, but it kind of puts you in a fraternity that you don't want to be in,
Right.
as well. So, but I totally agree. Grieving is much different for everyone, and so I think people need to realize that it's hard to realize you being in a situation like this, but it's even harder to cope with, how you grieve versus somebody else.
Right.
It's just totally different,
Yeah, I think this kind of fits in that category of one of the things that you can't really understand until you go through it. I feel like there's certain things that fit in that category, and you can explain it to people until you're blue in the face, and until you have to deal with it, they can't comprehend it.
Right.
So.
And everybody means well, and they're always great, but you don't really know until you go through anything.
Well,
there's a lot of things like that.
There's a certain amount of awkwardness to people, especially initially
in the beginning,
when you lose a child, because they mean well, but they just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So which is great. You don't have to say anything. A lot of times it's just a pat on the back or a hug. And some people they will kind of be on the opposite end of that,
and avoid it.
Yeah, and so they avoid it, totally. But you see people that mean, they're really mean well, but it's everybody does that different as well. It's
right.
Kind of what Sharon said initially. When Caitlyn passed away, we had people that we didn't even know that was not only donating to these scholarships, but they were also inviting us to, have dinner and let's go out and do this. And we didn't even really know these people that much, but it was just, which is very appreciative, but it was still, it's some awkwardness in that as well.
Yeah. And I know, like I said, we have people knock on our door we didn't even know, but I know a couple of ladies came and brought a book for us to read or some tapes once. Mm-hmm. And just, we didn't even know them.
Yeah.
They knew of us or had heard, too, while we were gone to Cincinnati. And another thing, we think everybody knows, but everybody don't know your story.
Right.
But we feel like everybody knows because I think it was, in the beginning, it was so publicized. It was on the news while we were gone several times. It was in the newspaper. And we just felt like everybody knows, but somebody, even today, people will say, well, I didn't even know you had a child. I didn't know this. And we just think everybody knows, but they don't,
Absolutely.
They just don't know our story.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things with time, too. It kind of clouds some stuff. You get people, always new generations coming in, and they don't always know what's going on. So, so I'm sure that's a little bit of a blessing and a curse in a way. But I really appreciate you all coming and hanging out with us. We've been wanting to do this for a little while, and I was really excited to be able to let you all share about Caitlyn and the scholarships because, we're very active with the DB band and a lot of other groups around the area. So Darrell and I have kind of struck up a little friendship since we pop up at these places together. I need someone to stand in the corner with sometime and just wait out the storm.
Well, you can stand with me anytime.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. But before we kind of cut loose, I wanted to maybe, have a little fun.
Okay.
All right. We're up for fun.
Uh-oh.
It's the lightning round.
I'm going to ask a couple questions, and I want to know what you all think.
Okay.
And they're very serious questions.
Okay, I can tell.
They're very serious, so don't take this lightly. So I'm dying to know, between the both of you all, what is the best breakfast cereal of all time?
Oh, for me, it'd be Raisin Bran.
Darrell.
Cheerios.
Sharon.
You thought it'd be the Kelsey
Fruit
brothers,
Loops.
right?
Yours is Fruit Loops.
Mine varies. I like I do like Fruit Loops though, but I love Lucky Charms.
Oh yeah.
And,
Magically delicious.
Captain Crunch.
Yeah.
Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch. Yeah.
Anyways. Yeah, we hear some wild answers for cereal. I've not got Raisin Bran yet.
Raisin Bran.
And believe it or not, I've not gotten Cheerios yet. I know. Cheerios is kind of the backbone of this industry, right?
Yeah, and cornflakes.
I like the, just sidebar, but I like the Cheerios has started doing the different flavors and stuff. I love the chocolate ones.
I've not had chocolate.
Or the strawberry.
The strawberry's good too.
Strawberry's
but I
good.
love the chocolate ones because the milk's perfect after.
Got chocolate milk too.
Okay, question 2. If you guys could have one superpower, what would it be?
Ooh.
Superpower.
Oh. Well, I would win the lottery tomorrow.
Okay.
so I want to look ahead a little bit, because,
Right.
and I always say if we win the lottery, and I truly believe this, if we win the lottery, I always think of how many people we could help.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking into the future a little bit.
That's true.
No pressure.
Predict the market.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Predict the housing market.
Especially now.
Makes sense.
Or the
Makes
financial
sense.
market.
So there's a common theme here. Both of you all kind of want to know what's going on in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense.
And yours is?
Oh,
if I turn it around?
I want to fly.
Oh,
Yeah, I
yeah.
just want to be able to walk outside and just
Take off.
wherever I want to go.
That'd be a superpower.
You know, it's really funny that you said what you did about the, being able to give away money and stuff like that. Because when Jeff Fleming was here last episode talking about some stuff, but he said something very similar to that. He
really?
I think he called it the gift of benevolence or the superpower of benevolence, but to just be able to give stuff to people, and that's great. I've heard several people say that, and that's encouraging because you don't hear that a lot. You get this guy that wants to fly.
Yeah, exactly.
We do try to support.
Well, we'll sell tickets for Caitlyn's Scholarship Fund when you can fly.
There we go. Okay, fair enough.
So we can work that out.
Fair enough. Well, thank you both for coming and hanging out. And if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. And we hope that everyone reaches out and gets involved however they can. But thank you for tuning in to the Bullseye Podcast. Check us out on all of our social channels. Go to afiadvisors.com, and we will catch you next time. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Bullseye Podcast. Do you want to sponsor the show or maybe even be a guest? Contact us at connect@afiadvisors.com to get the conversation started. Thank you for all of the continued support.